Welcome to Media Deep Dive by Radical Scott, where we talk about movies, TV shows, and whatever we like. And you guys listen to us so because you like that too. What you think?
Obviously.
So we are actually doing a maximum hour effort to give you the good podcast. And you know what we're gonna talk about today?
Deadpool.
That fucking poo. And before we start this episode, just a disclaimer. Okay, we're gonna say shit ton of curse words. We're
Obviously.
gonna discuss nudity, sexual things, and many other things.
Yes.
So if you have a problem with that, fuck you. Go watch
to
Pogo.
be uh, to be fair, in our previous videos, we did not really hold that much back. We talked about almost everything.
Which video?
A lot, like the one where we discussed Shatan and the one where we discussed brain that wouldn't
No,
die.
actually, we are doing now in English, so we should not say shaitan. We should say shaitan. You know, shaitan.
Okay. So let's get into it. I think.
Yeah. Let's just dive in. We have a lot of
Yeah. Dive in
bad
with
guys to say,
dive
bad guys to kill.
dive in with our maximum effort.
You baby.
All right.
All right. In this episode, we're actually very pumped up because we just watched Deadpool 1. And whenever we watch something like that, we get real pumped up. So
Yes.
if you guys
And
tune in with us, you're gonna have to suffer.
and for those who don't know, who are watching or watching or listening to our podcast, who don't know us, hopefully, then you should know that this is actually a second rewatch of us, right?
Yeah.
This is the second time you're watching it.
The whole movie.
Yeah. What do you mean the whole movie?
Yeah, I like watch bits and pieces here and there all
Oh yeah, same,
always. Yeah.
same. Yeah, I've watched tons of other reactions in between as well. The reaction to this movie are always
I actually don't watch a lot of reactions unless the reaction YouTuber who's doing is very hot. But other than that, I don't watch it.
fun. Okay. Well, I
It's
usually
either
watch
hot,
it.
it's either hot and unrelated cut slash, or either it's kids because it's always funnier to watch kids reactions.
Okay, no comment there.
Should not be. It's not nothing like what
Okay,
you're implying
okay,
here.
okay.
Implying?
I'm not implying anything here. And
Sure.
no, I'm not. Everything that just came out of anybody's mouth, it was you. I did not say anything.
All right.
And secondly, the but I usually watch reactions of movies that I like because they are. It's always fun to watch somebody else's first experience with that, especially if it's a movie like Deadpool, because uh, now I know that there are a lot of reactors who act like they haven't seen certain scenes, and it's very obvious.
Yeah.
But I know certain reactors who have not seen this movie. Like it's very obvious that they have not seen this movie. So
How? How
what
do
do
you
you
know
mean
that?
how?
How do you know that?
Like for example, there is a reactor that I like. Her name is Ashley, and she's really funny. She gives really funny reactions, and
Alright.
and it's very clear by the way that she does reactions that she's watching it for the first time, and if she's not watching it for the first time, she does give a disclaimer that I have watched this movie a long time ago, so we're just gonna rewatch it together, like
Oh,
this.
nice.
Yeah,
See, that's what I'm talking about. In the content era, I would
yeah.
call it a content era.
Hmm.
Everybody's doing fake shit. Like for
Yeah.
example, reacting. It's so weird, and
Yeah.
you can see through it. You're not like Johnny Depp. We can
Yeah.
see through you.
Oh yeah. And second of all, I would consider watching reactions as my version of like the most mind-numbing thing that I watch. Okay, like for a lot of people, it's like watching TikToks and watching shorts and things like that.
Okay.
Like, or what the internet calls brain rot media.
All
I
right.
don't like that word, but like brain rot media,
Mhm.
like media that just it's like mind numbing and dumb. But for me, like reactions are kind of falls into that category for me.
Like a
Even though
junk food for your brain.
yeah, like it's junk food for me.
All
Like
right.
that's the only thing that I have watched that is of that level.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I watch it for a different reason, which is to see reactions of people on like extreme movie scenes or things that are controversial, like Deadpool. So
Or metal music, rock music.
yeah, metal music, rock music.
Especially if the reactor are like
There's
some
actually
villages or old guys or
oh
kids.
yeah.
It's always amazing.
Yeah, and on a completely side related note, a completely unrelated note, I mean, there there are a few movies that I consider the best movies to watch reactions for.
Okay.
Any Tarantino film,
All right.
anyone, any Tarantino film,
Mm-hmm.
and Deadpool, The Godfather,
Okay. Godfather
and Fight Club.
reaction. Oh yeah, I can give you a Fight Club,
Yeah.
but Godfather reaction. I don't think I've seen any good reactions of it.
I have because uh, these movie like the Godfather trilogy is very old.
Okay.
So the pacing of the movie with like the shocks and twists, and even today when people watch it, they get really shocked at certain scenes because they were not expecting a movie made in the 70s to hit that hard.
Bro, that movie, and we are
Yeah.
actually talking about Godfather 1 here.
Yeah.
That movie
Hmm.
saved Paramount.
Oh yeah, I know that.
They were going bankrupt. Well,
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
that.
We should one day talk about Godfather actually.
See, if we do a podcast on Godfather, it's gonna be at least 2 to 3 hours
Yeah.
because it's
Just like the movie.
just like the hell of a movie.
Okay. Anyway, it's 8 minutes long right now, and we still haven't talked about the movie that we are talking about, which is Deadpool.
Okay.
So, tell me, like the first thing, like when you watched it the first time around, right?
Yeah.
What made you like the movie the most? Like there are a lot of things about the movie, but like what hit you the most?
See, you know that I'm not a comic guy. I
Yeah.
never watched Deadpool's comics, and I didn't even knew that Deadpool has some kind of anti-hero or some character.
Okay.
I never knew about it.
Okay.
So when I watched the trailer, I simply thought that it's gonna be some kind of Spider-Man parody or something.
Oh.
Yeah, I had
Which
no
which is
idea.
very ironic considering his team ups in the comics with Spider-Man.
Yeah, actually, I had no idea what I'm getting into.
Okay.
But when I watched the first scene,
Yeah.
and the scene that actually like made a mark on my brain,
Okay.
because in 2016 I haven't watched anything like that for fourth wall breaking and all.
Okay.
So when he started talking to the audience, I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going on here over here? And then I didn't even knew the term of fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
So when he said like all of those shit about Wolverine and all and bad guys to kill, and then he jumped down
Yeah.
and he says maximum effort.
Yeah.
On that time, I was like starting to learning about the self-help books.
Oh, okay.
So I went back at the same time on my Facebook and made my URL change to maximum effort 242,
Interesting.
and it's till this day It's
Hmm.
like still maximum effort. And in Dubai,
Hmm.
when I was doing like sales and the other things, and I get stuck in somewhere and I get too tired, I reminded myself maximum effort. This is the only thing will make you survive.
Okay,
So it actually did a very positive thing.
that that's really cool actually. Uh, so for me, when I first watched it, like I have to agree that the movie did break a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Like first of all, it's actually not the first film to do fourth wall breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Even to this extent, actually,
Mm-hmm.
there. But again, it's doing fourth wall breaking while referencing the current time period. It's doing fourth wall breaking uh, inside a Marvel, like kind of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like it's not technically in there. At least the first movie is not, and
Yeah.
like it's like in a gray area, and it's making fun of like Marvel and Sony and like X-Men, and like the scene that really got me, the
Mm-hmm.
scene that made me laugh out loud
Mm-hmm.
is the scene where Colossus is
Yeah.
dragging him and saying that I'm going to take you back to the professor, and he
Mm-hmm.
says, "Which one, McAvoy or Stewart?"
Right.
These timelines are really
Yeah, yeah,
confusing.
the movie
Like
is very meta, very
yes,
meta.
yes,
Because
but here's the thing. In
Mhm.
my opinion,
Mhm.
sorry to cut you off
No
there,
worries.
but in my opinion,
Mhm.
the meta commentary of the movie,
Mhm.
what a lot of people miss when watching this movie, or like in our pop culture right now, people think that the meta commentary of the movie is just that, like a gimmick, like a like a
No.
like a like it's just there as a funny thing, like, oh, Deadpool is like talking to the audience, and he's like commenting on what's happening in the screen,
Yeah.
but that's not all he's doing actually. Like his meta commentary has a purpose in the story,
Okay.
and that's why I like the movie. Like it
Hmm.
like even if it was just like meta commentary just for the shits and giggles,
Yeah.
I would still love it.
Yeah.
But it does go beyond that actually.
Like what? Give me one example.
Okay, like for example, he constantly, like, have you ever realized that in the entire movie, whenever he talks to the audience or to the like characters in the story, he never like to talk about the fact that he's doing something good or heroic.
Yeah.
He always either tries to avoid it or tries to counter that argument that he's not
Straight up.
he's not a hero.
Yeah. Straight up. He said that
Yeah,
I'm not a hero.
and like he said that in the like in his first one of the first fourth wall breaks,
Mm-hmm.
right? He said like I'm no hero,
Mm-hmm.
and but even within that commentary that he's doing with the audience,
Mm-hmm.
he's not he's not being a reliable narrator.
Yeah.
He's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah. That's actually his
Even
character.
when he's talking to the audience,
Yeah.
he's not being fully honest because he's showing,
Mm-hmm.
he's fully completely showing his uh, vulnerable insecurity to the audience in the most obvious way, while also being subtle about it, because you think that he's that, or it's a joke or something like that, but in the storyline
Yeah.
it makes sense for his character. It's
Yes.
not out of character, or it's not just for like jokes or something.
Yeah, now we can see that, but
Yeah,
back then I did not paid attention for that. But now when I see it,
yeah,
it actually makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So that's what I always liked about the movie, that when you watch it as like a teenager or like a young adult,
Hmm.
like hopefully if you watch it as a teenager, you are mature enough, or just don't watch it as a teenager. But like when I watched it, I was a teenager. I was in my early teens, So there were actually a lot of things in the movie that I had to fast forward because I would like that's a whole different podcast, like my whole self regulation era.
Yeah.
That's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
But I would like fast forward certain scenes because of the nudity or the violence. Not the violence, but
But
like
don't feel bad about it because the things that you forward, I reversed it a lot.
yeah. So, but now when I watch the movie, like it's so clear in my head. Like even after doing that, the movie left a print on my brain
Yeah.
because it broke so many grounds. Like, but okay, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of say Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought on that? Like how Deadpool shaped Ryan Reynolds and how Ryan Reynolds shaped Deadpool.
Okay, so now we are getting into a fun fact segment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for fun fact, I actually did not know that before, but now I do that Deadpool, the character, is actually shorter. He's not very heighted person.
Oh.
Yeah, and Deadpool was actually was not was made
Hmm.
Ryan Reynolds in mind. He
Was
was
not
not.
made in. He was not made in like with Ryan Reynolds in mind, right?
Yeah,
Because that would be impossible because Deadpool's character is older than when Ryan Reynolds started his career.
I'm talking about the movie actually. They
Oh, okay,
didn't
okay, okay.
wanted to like hire him at first
Oh,
because
what?
the director was different
Oh,
before, and he wanted to hire some another actor.
which one?
I don't know his name actually. He's a little fat and little small guy.
Oh, okay.
So then actually Ryan Reynolds came in and he was the Deadpool in real life.
Yeah,
So and he actually like he does not match the body style of Deadpool, but he did buff himself up,
yeah.
and like he get into this type of shape. He was lean before,
Okay,
but
yeah,
he buffed himself up,
yeah.
and he shaped
Hmm.
the Deadpool into a new level for me actually. And at the same time, for me, Deadpool put Ryan Reynolds on the map for me as well.
Yeah, for the world, honestly.
Yeah. And what your thoughts on Deadpool and this relation?
Okay, so remember where when Deadpool is talking to Francis, he's saying that uh, like yeah, I look like a mix between Sharp Eye.
Yeah, yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
Yeah, actually, there's a history there
Okay.
with that line.
All right.
From what I know, like
Mhm.
what you're telling me, it's a interesting thing because I've always thought that it was Ryan Reynolds' personal project. That's how I saw it.
Could be
Because
because they didn't had any funding.
okay, so from what I know is that when he was doing the X-Men Wolverine movie
Mm-hmm.
where they shut him up, and
Yeah,
yeah,
the Wolverine origin.
yeah. So what he did at I think at that time he wanted to get into his character more.
Mm-hmm.
So he got some Deadpool comics.
Mm-hmm.
He started reading them,
Mm.
and he liked the guy obviously.
Of
So
course.
there was a he liked him so much that he started getting annoyed with the movie's script because
The
the script,
origin.
yeah, the Wolverine
Wolverine
origin,
origin.
yeah, because the script required him to be something completely different.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene in the movie where he's doing stunts with the knife and saying weird things, right?
Not the
That's the
knife
most
sword.
fraud,
Yeah.
yeah, where he's like deflecting bullets with the
Dodging the
sword,
bullets. Yeah.
yeah. the scene in the elevator where he's like making fun of the guys and things like that, that was completely improvised, not in the script.
By him.
Yeah, by him, because he thought that that's what the character is.
Okay.
But when the final scene came up where he gets like burned off and his mouth gets shut off and things like that,
Yeah,
that pissed him off.
of course.
And there was a panel in there in the comic where Deadpool takes off his mask
Mm-hmm.
and says, "Yeah, I know. I look like Ryan Reynolds fucked a sharpie."
Okay.
And that's what
What's the
my
sharp eye?
I think it's like a sea animal or something. I don't know,
Okay.
or it could be like a food or something. I have no clue.
Okay.
But like he said, like that's what my face looked like, and he specifically mentioned Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
and he was reading it,
Yeah.
so he thought that this is my call. I need somehow to get the original Deadpool to the world.
Yeah. And thank
And
God he did that.
and there's actually a very famous scene. You've seen the test footage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the movie was being made, it kept getting delayed by the studio
Mm-hmm.
because the studio was not interested in the movie. Honestly,
Yeah.
the studio was like trying to delay the movie so that it would get like derailed and like they would run out of budget and they would give up.
Yeah.
That was their whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were basically wasting their like directors and the whole crew's money so that the movie would not get made.
Yeah.
So what somebody
Yeah.
released the test footage,
Yeah.
and I think we can all guess who that is.
Yep.
So Ryan Reynolds got attention from the media about this movie in the most Deadpool way possible, right? And uh, from what I know, is that he got so much into his character as Deadpool
Mm-hmm.
that he would like completely rewrite lines, completely rewrite scenes that would not fit with the character and everything. Like he, even to this day, he's he keeps fighting with the with the studios to
Yeah.
keep the character as it is. Like not
Yeah. He
not
found his calling actually.
yeah, he found his calling. But I think there's another very interesting fact is that before Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds did a lot of serious acting.
A lot of superhero movies as well.
Yeah, not I would not call like completely serious acting. Like he did some like fun job there and fun job there, but he also did like movies like Safe House
Yeah.
with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
He also did Buried, in
Yeah.
which he's like buried inside a coffin and he's trying
Hitman's
to.
Bodyguard.
Oh, but that's way after Deadpool.
After it?
Yeah, that's way after Deadpool. I think it's even after Deadpool 2.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. It came out in like
no. Hitman's Wife Bodyguard. I think came after Deadpool 2, but I don't know the one. The first one I don't know.
I don't know. I remember watching Deadpool 2 and then watching that one. Anyway,
Okay.
but like that's a comedy movie, so it's like it. At that time, he was already established as Deadpool.
Okay.
But you can clearly see a shift in Ryan Reynolds' personality as just as an actor after Deadpool,
Yeah.
for good and bad. Like there's like you can on one hand, I always like to see him in movies, even like bad shitty movies. I
Yeah.
always like to see him. And like for example, I did not like Red Notice as much, but I
Yeah.
still liked seeing him in that movie because he was the highlight of the movie for me. Not even Gal Gadot was the highlight. He was the highlight. Yes, he was the highlight because
Dude.
Gal. I know. But in that movie, she was doing so much. Like she was phoning it in so much that I could not appreciate her beauty. Yeah, it was really conflicting for me. but but in that movie, he still he still felt like he's having fun with the role. That's it.
Yeah, he
Like he
never
was
does
not he
that.
was not like trying to phone it in. He was having fun with it.
Hmm.
But the problem that I think he should do some serious roles in between now
Hmm.
to kind of get back to that, because now whenever in any movie that I see of him, it feels like he's doing the same kind of acting.
Yeah, actually, now you went to the uh, your thoughts and conclusion side. We
No,
were
no,
actually
not thoughts
doing
and conclusion.
we were actually
I
talking
have,
about the fun facts.
yeah.
Okay, so if we get back to that, in a fun fact side, like I told you in the start, in
Hmm.
the first scene, that scene was actually the beginning of the Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know, in the opening scene where the camera like goes around and everywhere panning in the opening scene, in the freeze frame.
The free frame. Oh yeah, where the Angel of the Morning is playing in the background.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, that scene was the first scene that was drawn,
Oh,
and everything before that was
huh.
mapped out so they could end up to that frame
Why?
because they actually liked that frame.
Oh.
And do you know in Vancouver, Canada,
Hmm.
the bridge was actually not the studio. It was not in house. It was actual running bridge. So they
Okay.
had to rent it out for a few hours in 25 days.
Yeah,
So
I can
what
believe
they
it.
what they did actually,
Hmm.
like you know, in the studio when you finish
Hmm.
shooting, you just pack up and go home.
Yeah.
But in the studio, you can't do. Sorry, in the real world, you can't do that. You have to pick up everything,
Hmm.
and then on the next day,
Hmm.
you have to put everything on the same place, even the shattered glass. So
That is.
yeah, so they came up with a system,
Oh.
like many of the crew members, their sole job
Hmm.
just to put things back on the trailer
Okay.
and put it back on the road on the same place for 25 days.
That's exhausting.
And do you know, right after that, when he was like the bike scene in the start
Yeah.
on the bridge was so tight, and after all of those collusion,
Yeah.
the scene was so tight, like no crane was can be there,
Okay.
and no car could have drove the camera. So what they came up with the idea, they built a motorcycle, electric motorcycle
Okay.
equipped with the cameras, and they
Oh.
flew in some very good rider who can
Okay.
follow the another rider with a camera,
Got it.
and the bike has to be electric because of the vibration and
Yeah,
all.
vibration and sound
Yeah,
and yeah.
so actually the scene that we see in the start,
Hmm.
it's actually very short scene. It
Yeah.
has so many things in there, but they took so much time to doing it.
Yeah.
And do you know, on that bridge there was not only only Ryan Reynolds over there as Deadpool. There
Oh.
was three Deadpools over there.
Oh.
Yeah, one is Ryan Reynolds and two other guys who
Like
was
substitute.
very good on like jumping and doing this stuff because they wanted to do all the things on practical effects.
Oh. Okay. 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 So that's really interesting because there are a lot of scenes in movies like that or in TV shows that we watch and we take it for granted. Like, oh yeah, like, and actually nowadays it's like industry like industry norm to use actual real location.
Hmm.
But like back then it was all like sets and studios.
Yeah.
But nowadays a lot of the scenes that we see in movies, they are like filmed in real location.
Yeah. See, now many and I'm talking about like heavy movies, like for
Yeah.
example Deadpool or some kind of superhero movie and all like
Yeah.
that. the thing is that they do shoot on the
Yeah,
real locations, but the problem with them is that they actually use too much of a CGI and they don't rely on practical effects.
yeah,
I actually love practical effects
yeah. Me too.
because they look cool
Yeah, me
and
too.
like it's very fun to do shoots on.
Yeah.
But because the ease of it, they what they do, they just
Actually, this is really, really interesting because there was a time period where doing like CGI or like computerized things were more expensive than doing practical effects. So
yeah.
people would opt for the practical effect just to save their budget, like Star Wars.
Star
Like
Wars, yeah.
Star Wars would be
George
the
Lucas.
George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, like Jaws. You haven't seen Jaws, right?
I think I've seen it like way old. I think I was in
It's
my
a
teenage, and the problem is that I have watched some movie.
yeah.
I don't know if it's Jaws or not,
Hmm.
but it was Hindi dub.
Okay.
So they named it, I think, uh, Honi Pani or something. I don't remember the name, but it was
Okay.
Indian name actually. The
Okay.
but the movie was English and it was very good.
So then chances are that you might have watched Jaws in an
Have you
Indian dub.
watched Jaws?
Yes.
Wha- is it about like some kind of experimental or scientists in the sea underwater and the sharks? They were doing some experiment on a shark, and the shark got pissed off.
Okay. This is totally unrelated, but like while they're not doing experiment on a shark, they're actually hunting the shark because the shark is like causing trouble in the water. But there is actually like a scientist guy who's like really into sharks and he tries to like explain things about the shark and how they can like do things and how they operate and things like that.
Maybe I'm misremembering it because the way I remember it,
Hmm.
I watched it with Ami,
Okay.
and the thing that I remember it, they put human conscious
Hmm.
into shark.
Okay. Yeah, that never happened in this one.
And what happened, the shark got real pissed off, and they just like it, the sole
Okay.
purpose of the shark is to just kill everybody.
Okay. So like aside from the intelligent thing and like intelligent shark thing, the like what you're describing is basically Jaws, but without the intelligent thing. So it could be like a Jaws knockoff film. It could be.
But it was it doesn't feel like a knockoff.
I don't know. Like anyway, we were talking about Deadpool here.
Yep.
So there are two things that I want to say about this movie actually.
Hmm.
One thing that I want to say is the I'm gonna go back to the fourth wall breaking
Okay.
because again this is a very interesting thing for me.
Hmm.
Like I was introduced to the concept of fourth wall breaking through Deadpool,
Okay.
but there were a lot of other movies that actually did fourth wall breaking before Deadpool.
Okay.
And even before movies, there's actually a book that kind of uh, laid the groundwork for Deadpool.
Okay.
There's a book called Don Kohite.
Don Kohite.
Yeah,
Funny name.
it's pronounced like nothing that you would think. Like all the letters in that name, Don Kohite. Only the word Don and the starting word of Kohite, Q,
Hmm.
would will you be able to guess? All the other letters in the name, like how it's spelled, you would not be able to guess.
Why is
Because
that?
because when I first read the title, I thought it was Don Quicksort.
What the hell?
Yeah, but it's pronounced as Don Kohite. I don't know why, but I
Okay.
think that might be a commentary because the whole book is actually a kind like it does have a very like big narrative and everything, but it's actually like a commentary on like knight tales. You know, like
Okay.
King Arthur tales about the knight going after like adventures and finding gold and finding like saving people and things like that, doing like
Like
chivalry.
saving people, hunting things, the family
Yeah,
business.
yeah, like the chivalry things and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this book was kind of like a parody of fantasy
Okay.
novels
Mm-hmm.
in the 1500, by the way. Yes,
Oh,
even before Lord of the Rings.
wait.
Yeah.
The book was written in 1500s.
Yes.
Was it written on stones?
Dude, what? No. How old do you think the printing press is?
I think it's like
Okay,
1800s.
okay. I might be missing like a few hundred years there because I always mix up the 1500 and the 1600. It could be somewhere in between. Like it was like the start of the printing press actually.
Okay.
So
So he was the first customer.
not the first one actually because again he's building off of like old stories. So they
Okay.
had to exist first, right?
Yeah, on a stone.
No, like pen and paper still existed, bro.
Okay.
So, so like Robin Hood stories or like King Arthur stories and all of that.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of meta commentary in the book.
Okay.
So much that there's a point
Mm-hmm.
where Don Quixote is riding his donkey. Yes, donkey because he cannot afford a horse. He's riding a donkey, and he gets tired.
Mm.
So he stopped riding donkey, and the pages just stop writing. Like the pages just end.
Okay.
Yeah, like there are a couple of pages that are just empty because he got tired. Like
Nice, yeah.
yeah, and this book
Mm.
is like old and it's very long, like
Okay.
2000 pages long,
Mm-hmm.
very old and very long.
Mm.
So, and it's like supposedly very hard to read. But
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine with like jokes like that how the book is hard to read. But like these types of meta commentary and like even sometimes the character of Don Quixote just
Mm.
straight up talk to the audience sometime
Mm-hmm.
and like said like oh like I'm like I found this character.
Mm.
This is like he makes like superhero landing right
Yeah.
in Deadpool.
Yeah.
He like going on and he find this like cool knight character who always like very chivalrous, but he's like very handsome and things like that. And he says like, bro, you're dumb. Like things like that.
Okay.
I'm like translating it into
So
today's language, but
so pre Deadpool.
pre Deadpool. And if you look at film history,
Mm-hmm.
there are movies like Mel Brooks movies. Mel Brooks was a director. He made movies like Spaceballs, which was a parody of Star Wars.
Okay.
It had like scenes where the I like to call them the space Nazis, the stormtroopers.
All right.
They look at each other and they go, "Are we the baddies?"
Oh.
Like things like that, and they like look at the look up at the camera and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also one of the most famous movies which even Deadpool references, Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
Yeah.
right? In that entire movie, Ferris Bueller is like straight up directly talking to the audience.
See, he and all the other,
Yeah,
they actually did fourth wall breaking, but the Deadpool is actually describing the whole universe.
yeah,
Okay, like it's a comic.
yeah.
He's a character in a comic.
So your argument is that like while these movies did fourth wall breaking,
Yeah.
they did not do it to the extent of Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
That's where you would be wrong, because if you have watched uh, Blazing Saddles,
Okay.
you would agree with
Yeah,
me.
I have never watched it.
Okay, Blazing Saddles is like a parody of westerns,
Okay.
and in that movie, a town sheriff gets killed by a bandit or something, or like he has a heart attack or something.
Okay.
I don't remember honestly.
Hmm.
So there's like a new sheriff in town, which is a old cliche
Yeah.
of western movies,
Yeah.
and like everybody's saying like this sheriff is gonna save us, and he's like this and this. But the twist of the movie is that the sheriff is black, and the entire town is white.
Okay.
Yeah. So like there's a scene where he's like trying to pull out his gun, and he said, okay, let me just pull this out, and he's like going into his pant,
Hmm.
and everybody like goes away from him in shock, and he pulls out his gun and says, no, I'm just pulling out my gun. So like, oh, okay. Like scenes like that,
When it was released?
70s, I think.
Oh.
70s or 80s.
I gotta watch this.
And then at the end,
Hmm.
spoiler alert for this movie, by the way, this 70s classic, they break out of the studio
Hmm.
to go into another movie where they're doing a musical.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Fresh Prince also did that.
Yeah. And on top of that, there was another film in the 70s which
Mhm.
was a very big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Monty Python. You might
Yeah.
have heard about
Yeah,
them. Especially Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
That movie starts with King Arthur knights coming, like King Arthur is like coming from a distance,
Mm-hmm.
but first they show like some disclaimer that their translator,
Mm.
he start writing things in German or some other language,
Mm.
and you like confused, like did I download the wrong movie or something?
Mm.
And then they reverse all of that and say, oh sorry, our transcriber, he did not know, he did not know any English, so we fired him.
Mm.
And then they started in English,
Mm.
and then in a
Mm.
long distance there you hear like horses coming up,
Okay.
but when they come into the shot,
Mm-hmm.
you see that they're all just like hopping from places to places while holding like a box of we call it dugri in Urdu. I don't know what it's called in English.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like holding it and like making sound from that because they don't
All right.
like they're like these types of things. Like in my opinion, Monty Python would be the perfect pre Deadpool movie to watch.
All right.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And
So I think we should.
okay,
end
so
it.
like quickly, great acting and great soundtrack.
Awesome. Awesome.
I genuinely remember listening to the soundtrack of this movie,
Yeah.
especially the DMX song
Yeah.
that plays at the end, and two other songs, Angel of the Morning, at the very start of the song,
Mm.
and also the You're the Inspiration when he gets like the knife stuck in his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch. Actually, we're waiting for the part 3 as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a podcast on it. So
Should we
see you.
do theories for the part 3?
We'll do it next time.
All right.
So see you on the next video. Bye bye.